to get their quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, even though they had Alex Smith, but it's like Alex Smith can't get them to where they want to go. So they were like, well, let's get a guy that we believe in. And it was Patrick Mahomes. So also that year, Deshaun Watson went pick number 12 to Houston. So let that sink in. Mahomes goes pick number 10. Okay. Deshaun Watson goes pick number 12. But Chicago trades up to get Mitch Trubisky. Yeah, it's very interesting. This up-and-coming year is a make or break for Mitch Trubisky. But this is not a Chicago Bears podcast. This particular episode is for the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's just stick to the Chiefs and complete the story in this timeline. So in year one, Patrick Mahomes, he sat on a bench. He didn't really do much. He came in one game at the end of the season and had a pretty good game. But players have been seeing Patrick Mahomes in practice. So the Kansas City Chiefs know who they had or who they have in Mahomes. I'm a fan that didn't watch Mahomes in college. There are other fans like me who didn't know that Patrick Mahomes was this good as he is now. But, it all started with him kind of like, sitting back, getting to learn from a good veteran in Alex Smith and, learning under this Andy Reid system. So in year two, Mahomes' first year as a full-time starter, he passed for over 5,000 yards, and he had 50 touchdowns, and he had 12 interceptions. And that's amazing to throw the ball 580 times and only throw 12 interceptions. It can't get no more accurate than that. That's amazing. 50 touchdowns. He also had 60 rushes for 272 yards, 2 touchdowns. He has elite rushing ability, but he sticks in the pocket. That's what separates Mahomes from all these other running quarterbacks. Even Deshaun Watson runs more. A lot of these mobile quarterbacks run a lot, but Patrick Mahomes only runs when this is the last option. Okay, he'll check down. He'll even throw the ball out of bounds. He's a very, very smart player. In year three, so mind you, in year two, with the numbers he put up, he won the MVP. Okay, then in year three, despite missing 2 games with an injury, he had 4,000 yards and 31. He had 26 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He ran the ball 43 times for 218 yards, 2 touchdowns. We're going to talk more about Mahomes year 3 in a minute, but just painting a picture. Kareem Hunt was also drafted in this 2017. So you're seeing how the Kansas City Chiefs are picking up these key pieces in the draft. Just drafting, building every year. So this year they got Mahomes in the first round and was able to get Kareem Hunt in the 3rd round. Now, this is what Kareem Hunt did in his first year. He had 1,000 yards, 327. So 1,300 yards rushing, okay? He had 8 touchdowns. He had 53 catches for 455 yards, 3 touchdowns. Those are superstar numbers. Superstar numbers for a rookie in his rookie season. 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns, and then almost 500 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns. If you had Kareem Hunt in fantasy that year, I guarantee you were in the playoffs. He put up those kind of numbers. Now in year 2, he rushed for 824 yards, 7 touchdowns, caught 26 catches for 378 yards, 7 touchdowns. I know I'm giving you guys a lot of stats, but I just kind of want to put things in context. I kind of want to paint a picture so you guys can feel where I'm coming from. So year 2, he put up these numbers, but it was only in 11 games. Of course, we all know what happened. He, with the suspension, with Kareem Hunt, domestic violence, he ends up being suspended for the last 5 games of that season. That season, I remember playing fantasy, and I just traded for Kareem Hunt. Then this happens. I was so sad. I had a good running back. I forgot who I traded, but I traded that guy, got Kareem Hunt, and then Kareem Hunt was done. But yeah, we're not going to talk about my fantasy bad luck. But the numbers he put up in just 11 games, just 824 yards, okay? 378 yards receiving in 11 games. Had he continued, I think he would have had another maybe 1,400 yards that year. I mean, he was that good. Kareem Hunt was amazing. So after being cut, he was picked up by the Cleveland Browns. Then, of course, he faced that 8-game suspension this past season, and the Browns, re-signed him. They want to give him another year to see what he can do, and then maybe trade him. Maybe, trade him, get some compensation, or just have a two-headed, backfield with Chubb and Kareem Hunt. But I'm still painting the picture here. They're still building. They're still drafting. That 2017 season ended in a 10-6 record. Alex Smith had his best season yet that year. He threw for 4,000 yards plus. He's never had a season of 4,000 yards plus. He's never had a season of 26 passing touchdowns. So this was like a career year for him. And a lot of people wanted Patrick Mahomes to come in that year, but it was just so hard to bench Alex Smith when he played so well. He played just so great. And to some, he was an MVP candidate. That year between Alex Smith, Kareem Hunt, and Tyreek Hill and Kelsey, all three skill position players had over 1,000 yards from their respective positions. The offense was explosive, fun to watch. That year, I remember watching that year, seeing Kareem Hunt and Tyreek Hill. It was like they were changing the culture of what the Chiefs were. They brought excitement. They were fast. They were young. They were drafted to fit their system. And it's just amazing that you can build through the draft. You can get the free agent guys, but when you can really build through the draft, it's amazing because you have them under that rookie contract. So pretty much they're drafting all these skill position players, stars, just not in the first round, third and fifth round. Okay. And Travis Kelce has been on his team for a while. Since he's come into the league, he had his first 2 seasons, he had over 800 yards receiving both years. And then after that, the next 4 seasons, 1,000 yards each time. And now that Gronkowski has been out, Travis Kelce has been the best tight end in the NFL. Okay, I know that Gronkowski came back, but he won't be the same Gronk that he was. Travis Kelce is one of the best tight ends in the league. I say one of the best because George Kittle is the best all-around tight end in the league. Ever wanted to make a podcast but never really knew how? Well, Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. There's a creation tool that allows you to record right from your phone or computer, and as well as editing as well. Anchor will distribute your podcast to places such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can also monetize from your podcast. You can download the Anchor app for free at the App Store, or you can go to anchor.fm to get started. I remember this 2017 season for the Chiefs. They had a good team, explosive offense. They had real championship aspirations. They were thinking they were going to win this thing. And I live in Nashville, Tennessee, so a lot of the Titans fans were excited for this game. I didn't think that the Titans had any chance, to be honest. And they beat Kansas City, and the game was pretty good, man. It went kind of back and forth, and I know Marcus Mariota made some plays. So the Titans beat the Chiefs, and once again, and this was in the wild card round. So once again, fans are just upset. They're mad. These Chiefs fans have just been through a lot. It seems like every year, they're making the playoffs, but it's heartbreak after heartbreak. then you have franchises like the Redskins and the Browns who don't make the playoffs a lot. And those fans just want to get into the playoffs. So it's just kind of interesting to kind of see where fans are coming from and how fans feel when, they ultimately don't win that Super Bowl. Yeah, getting to the playoffs every year, that's cool. It's expected for the Kansas City Chiefs. You want to, do better each year. You want to, take a step. And I felt they took a step talent-wise, but this particular year, they took a step backwards as a franchise. And I think this was the last straw. And this is when Patrick Mahomes was born. All right, guys, let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to the moment that everybody has been waiting for. Patrick Mahomes' magical 2018 season. Now, the 2018 draft picks for the Kansas City Chiefs, there isn't really one that stands out to me. That's just me personally. For one, I might not even know these guys and their impact for the Kansas City Chiefs, but for me, I don't really see a draft pick that kind of jumps out to me. This was the year they traded Alex Smith to Washington Redskins, and they were able to get back Kendall Fuller and a third-round pick. Great trade for the Kansas City Chiefs. Trade not so good for the Washington Redskins. It was at a point, but after that injury to Alex Smith, it's just, it's been a not so good trade for the Redskins. Wish Alex Smith well. Hope he recovers, but I don't think he ever plays football again. So this particular year was just magical, like I said, for Patrick Mahomes. This was his MVP season, and I'm going to kind of walk you guys through some of the games this season. This particular season, they started out 5-0. Beating the Chargers at the Chargers, beating Pittsburgh at Pitt, hosting home game against the San Francisco 49ers. They won that game. They beat the Broncos at the Broncos. Tough game. They beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. Week 6, they played New England. Now, this was a test. This was, okay, if the Kansas City Chiefs want to win a championship, they got to go through New England. So this was a big test for Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he was riding high. I mean, he was putting up amazing numbers, top offense in the league. They throwing up 30 points, 40 points, 50 points, So this particular game they lost. It was a very close game. It was a 3-point loss, 43-40 loss at the Patriots' house back in October of 2018. Then they played the Bengals. They won. They won at home against the Broncos. They beat the Browns. They beat the Cardinals. Then at this point, the Kansas City Chiefs are 9-1. Mahomes is balling out of control. And all you can really think right now is the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win their Super Bowl. This is their year. They have this quarterback. He's young. He's throwing up amazing numbers. They've never seen anything like this before. Then, they play the Rams that year at the Rams house in November. And this was a big game because the Rams were a good team. They were a surging team, and they had just as good of an offense as the Kansas City Chiefs. I remember watching this game. I was on the edge of my seat, score after score after score after score. It was pretty much whoever had the ball last was going to win this game. And the Rams ended up winning the game 54-51. I can't remember if it was off of a field goal kick to win the game, but the game was just bananas. It just kind of went back and forth. It's a game that us fans live to see. An exciting game, a high-scoring game. People say that there was no defense played that game, but there was at least 3 defensive scores. So, yeah, defense was played, but it was just that the two offenses were just better. Then they had their bye week in Week 12. Then the very next week, they played Oakland. At Oakland, they win. Then they played the Baltimore Ravens. They win. Then they played the Chargers. This time around, the Chargers win, and then they play a tough game at Seattle. They lost. 38-31. Then they finish up week 17 at Oakland, and then they win. So they have a 12-4 record. They get the bye week. Now it's the playoffs. Now they're ready to try to get this Super Bowl. Maybe this is the year that Andy Reid finally gets this big game. But what was so amazing was that season in their division, Kansas City was 12-4, and the Chargers were 12-4. So that last game that they won was very crucial, because you can go from being the number 1 overall seed, or you can be number 5, and you're playing in that wild card round. And, depending on who you match up with, it could be a first round exit. I'm sorry, as good as the Kansas City Chiefs were, imagine going to Baltimore to play. That's a tough place to play. So that year, they were excited, ready to go. They played that first game, divisional game, against the 6th seed, which was the Indianapolis Colts. They win 31-13. They're riding high. They're excited. Now, the Patriots have to come to Kansas City. Okay. And that's a very tough place to play. And, you had people counting Tom Brady out. This is Patrick Mahomes' league now. Tom Brady is washed up, this and that. And I remember watching this game. This game went back and forth. Then I remember the game being tied and the game going to overtime. They flipped the coin. New England gets the ball. I said to myself, whoever that gets the ball first is going to win this game. Lo and behold, Tom Brady did what he did, drove his team down, they scored a touchdown, and they win. I hate the rules of, when a team gets the ball first, when the coin flip and, they score, is over. I believe that the league needs to change this and give the other team an opportunity to score. But then, when does it become fair? Then it becomes kind of like college, where if you score, the other team gets the ball, they scored, and you have inflated stats and things of that nature. But I believe that if the Chiefs got the ball first, they were going to score the touchdown. And I believe that the Chiefs were going to win the Super Bowl that year, had that coin flip gone their way. Just Patrick Mahomes is just unstoppable. I don't really think any team or anybody was able to stop the Kansas City Chiefs from scoring. If you go back and look at the games, I don't think they scored under 30 points. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't think they scored under 30 points. They were just scoring. Well, there was a game where they, won with 27 points a few times, but for the most part, they averaged over 30 points. That offense was just explosive. Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball, Tyreek Hill catching, Kelsey doing his thing. And, they had their running back that year. And then, what happened. I also believe that if they had Kareem Hunt, the Super Bowl was a done deal. They had everything working in their favor. They got their quarterback. They had their star running back for a while, had their receiver. So that was going to be the year. But once again, heartbreak for these Kansas City Chiefs. And, they continue to build. They continue to build every year, and it just seems to be same result every year. But I believe that 2018 was their best opportunity to win a championship, and they almost did it. The Chiefs' 2019 season was definitely their best season, but let's get this thing started. So that season they had 12. They won 12 games and lost 4, so another 12-4 record. So going 12-4 the year before and going 12-4 this year was different. It was different. 2018, it was more so, the record breaking, the magical season, statistic wise. And then, the toughest thing for a team that achieves so much and that's close to a championship is you can be tempted to really alter your team or really try to do too much and then mess up your team. That year, Honey Badger was a key piece to the team. Kendall Fuller, another key piece of the team. The way that the team started out, they were not very good defensively. They gave up a lot of points. But towards the end of the season, the team really started to come together. You know, of course, you had your Patrick Mahomes, your Tyreek Hill, your Travis Kelce, your Chris Jones. That year, Frank Clark was key. He was a very key addition to the team. So all these years of drafting and, trying to get the team together and, even this particular year, they drafted some pretty good rookies. One that comes to mind is Mecole Hardman. Mecole Hardman had the speed to go with Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins, giving them one of the fastest wide receiving rooms in the entire league. They were able to find even undrafted free agent guys, all around. I remember they even brought in Kelvin Benjamin at a point in time, but, that didn't pan out. People just said that Kelvin Benjamin became a tight end. Had he had one more burger. But anyways, back to the 2019 season, great season. Of course, it ended the way that they wanted it to end. But like I said, what made that year different was they didn't really add too much. They didn't really lose too much. And what they lost, they replaced. Defense was just good enough to get the job done. That year, they were able to find Mecole Hardman in the second round, Juan Thornhill in the second round, another solid guy, another solid safety. They were able to, get these pieces that fit what they were trying to do, to start this championship run. They also got this Darwin Thompson running back, sixth round. I remember he was a big name in fantasy because that year they didn't really know what they wanted to do in terms of running backs. They let go of Carlos Hyde that they traded for the year before. They were going to sign LaShawn McCoy and, just have all these groups of people, Damian Williams, who's the running back after losing Kareem Hunt. That was pretty much what they were trying to fix was running back. But, it takes time. It takes time as a process. And, they've been building. So the season started out at Jacksonville. They beat Jacksonville convincingly, 40-26. Season started good. Then they played Oakland at Oakland. They won. They beat Baltimore at Baltimore. And this was the year that Lamar Jackson broke out. So for the Ravens to come out and put up points, through the air against these guys, then they beat Detroit. Detroit gave them a match. So you're starting to see that it's not the same Kansas City Chiefs team from the year before. They lost to the Colts. They lost to the Texans that year. Back-to-back losses. So it's something that they don't really do a lot of, which is back-to-back, losses. Then they play Denver. They win that game. So now they're 5-2. They host the Packers. They lose. They're 5-3. It's kind of like, what's going on with Patrick Mahomes' injury. It was just crazy. It was just a funny time. They were talking about Patrick Mahomes is going to miss, several weeks, come back towards the end of the year. Patrick Mahomes being the kind of guy that he is, he comes back, a lot earlier than what was anticipated. But they lose to the Titans. Now, the Titans, these guys came to Tennessee, and the Titans really put on a show. Ryan Tannehill was doing his thing. They were really able to match these guys points for points. Okay, even though that Mahomes didn't play that game. I don't believe that Mahomes played that game. Or maybe he did. I can't remember. Even though this happened last season, I really can't remember. Then they play the Chargers. They win. Then they go on this win streak. See, at the point where the Kansas City Chiefs were at this 6-4 portion of the season, a lot could have gone wrong. Because I remember that year, the Chargers, they played hard. They played hard. Division games are tough. And that year, I was looking at the schedule. They had New England at New England. They had the Bears at the Bears. Those are tough places to go play and win. And they were able to go on a crazy run, a crazy 6-game winning streak to finish out the season at 12-4. Now, what makes the season again different from last season was New England was really running away with the bye. New England was really the team to beat. Kansas City started to be the team that might do something. They might not do something. Even with the injury to Mahomes, Tyreek Hill had his injury. So they're dealing with injuries. Andy Reid is really doing a heck of a job coaching this team. So they get the bye, which was very key. All right. Now they get into the playoffs. Now it's time to really go out there and do the thing. They ran away with their division. They ended, 12-4. The next best was the Broncos at 9-7. Oakland really tried to do something, but then they fell short. So the playoff seeding looks like this. Baltimore Ravens get the first seed. Kansas City gets the second seed. New England gets the third seed because Kansas City beat New England. They ended up with that 12-4 record each, but because of that important game, Kansas City beating New England, they get that bye. So now New England has to go on the road in the next, in the second round and, try to win. Buffalo made the playoffs that year. They were the 5th seed, and then Tennessee Titans were the 6th seed. Now, the Tennessee Titans got into the playoffs because the Houston Texans rested all their guys. But, we'll keep on going. So, playoffs started like this. In the divisional round, the Houston Texans were matched up with the Kansas City Chiefs. And I remember Houston had a big lead. Houston had a 24-0 lead, even a 21-0 lead at a point in time. And then it got up to 24. And, they were really thinking that they had won the game. You saw Houston Texans players celebrating, doing their thing, getting excited. And then everything just changed. So a game that started 21-0 Texans ended 51-31 Chiefs. I mean, it was one of the wildest games I've ever seen in my life. Like, I really don't know what happened. And the way that Houston was scoring at the beginning was like off of busted plays, busted coverage, fumbles, things of that nature. Then the very next game, obviously, was the AFC Championship game. The Tennessee Titans had a remarkable run. They were able to knock out New England. They were able to knock out the Baltimore Ravens. Had New England had that bye, maybe things might have been different, but I really think that New England's offense was not good enough to sustain in the playoffs. So Kansas City Chiefs were facing the Titans, and mind you, the Titans beat them already during the regular season. Titans fans were excited. I was pulling for the Titans since I live here. Felt bad for the Titans fans, man. It's been 20 years since they were in a Super Bowl. But anyways, the Chiefs were able to pull out this game with a 35-24 win to go to the Super Bowl. Okay, so now Kansas City Chiefs, one of the best offenses in the league, they get to the Super Bowl. Finally, Andy Reid has finally gotten the Chiefs to the Super Bowl. Now, is he going to win one or is he going to lose like he did a few years ago? So you're playing the 49ers, who have the best defense in the league. Joey Bosa is just tearing it up. That front line is just tearing it up, doing their thing, against a very good offense. So the Chiefs were victorious. They were able to, get the Super Bowl victory. It was a very good game, very entertaining game. It was 31-20. The Chiefs win. Mahomes finally gets a ring, and this is Mahomes' second full year as a starter, his third year in the league. So what he was able to do in his first year as a starter, MVP, his second year in the league, Super Bowl champion. This guy, it's amazing that for this next up and coming season, they were able to keep pretty much all their guys on offense. They were able to add some pieces on defense. And then on top of that, they were able to draft a running back in Clyde Hilaire from LSU. That to me is the best pass receiving threat in the draft, and he fits that system. So now you give Patrick Mahomes yet another weapon. So Chiefs fans, congratulations to you guys on your championship. I know you guys have had lots and lots and lots of heartbreaks. For the next 10 years, next 15 years, you guys are in good hands. You guys got your franchise quarterback, and, you guys are going to be competing for Super Bowls for years to come. I know the AFC is going to be really good this year. NFC is going to be really good. So we'll see what happens. Thank you guys for checking out this podcast. If you made it this far, that's love. So guys, thank you so much for checking out this episode. Follow me on my social media: Facebook, Talking Sports with Manny; Instagram, TS with Manny; Twitter, TS with Manny. Appreciate all the love. Be sure to hit me up, DM me, retweet, share this podcast with as many people as possible. And I would love to hear your feedback as well. Y'all be good. Y'all be safe. God bless.